Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of D-Ball Oasis Show. Happy holidays to all y'all, since we haven't talked to y'all since about a week before Christmas. Quick rundown, I guess, on what's been going on in the league over the past 2 weeks since we've been gone. The Brooklyn Nets are the hottest team in basketball. The Brooklyn Nets are the hottest team in basketball, winning 10 games in a row. And offense is clicking on all cylinders. Defense is sufficient enough. The Brooklyn Nets have looked really, really good. And it's crazy to say because they were a team at the beginning of November that we were talking about potential blow-up happening, especially right after Steve Nash was fired. It looked really, really bleak for the Brooklyn Nets, and they've turned their season around completely and sit at second in the Eastern Conference as of today, which is crazy. Jacob, what have you seen from the Brooklyn Nets over the past 2-3 weeks that's really, really impressed you?
Everything, I guess. The play, the chemistry. I guess just see how that turns out. But Kevin Durant's putting up MVP like numbers. You know, probably gonna be an All-Star starter as of now.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead. I'm gonna start with a question.
Yeah,
early. I think you know what I'm about to ask.
I know.
So there are 3 front court spots for the Eastern Conference All-Star team. You have 4 players who are worthy enough for those spots. You've got Giannis, you've got Joel, you've got KD, and you've got Jason Tatum. Jacob, who is your odd man out? Because I've seen this question be asked a lot lately.
Me too. I've seen a lot of people say move Tatum to the 2 for it, but that's not gonna happen.
I don't think they can do that.
Yeah.
It's tough because they're all playing so well.
I've seen a lot of people, and I kind of agree with the factor as of now that Joel will probably be out just because of team record, which I can agree with. But if they don't solely base it off team record, I might have to go Tatum.
Really?
But it's really close. Either
first seed in the East, Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum.
I'm saying it's close because Brooklyn's KD's putting up MVP numbers. All 4 putting up MVP numbers. So
yeah,
it's one of them gonna have to sit out, and it's really hard to pick who. But I guess we just have to see what leads up to it. I guess I think the last day to vote is like the end of January. I think so.
Yeah, I would probably say Joel is mine as of right now, but it's so close between all of them. And there's, like you said, about a month before the last ballots will come in, so there's time for separation between those 4 guys. But they've all been playing so elite lately that it's going to be hard to choose. It's going to be a hard choice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So right now it's Joel, but if they move up in the standings somehow, then it could change one day.
Yeah. So Brooklyn on a roll right now, 10 games in a row and counting. Let's talk about the other night. And the insane performance from Luka Doncic. If you didn't know, Luka Doncic finished with 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists, and an overtime victory against the New York Knicks, the unfortunate New York Knicks, who have now lost 5 games in a row after tonight. But Luka is, man, we knew that he's a stat sheet stuffer. We knew that beforehand, but we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen a stat line like this ever in the history of the NBA. Not even Wilt Chamberlain put up a stat line like that. And it was just so crazy to see because he shot 70%. I turned on the game in the 4th quarter just because I went and looked at the box score and I was like, oh my goodness, I got to turn this game on. They were down 9 points with 25 seconds left. 25 seconds left. Teams before that game who were up by 9 points with 25 seconds left had never lost.
It was
never, ever lost.
2000 something and or something.
Yeah. And of course it would be the New York Knicks. The Knicks would be the team to give up shot, 3-ball, turnover. I think it was a jump ball. Then another 3-point shot. No, it was an and one.
The free throw too, that Luka.
Yeah. And then turnover, 3-ball, free throws. They make 1 out of 2. Luka goes down, gets a bucket. Another 1 out of 2 split free throws. No, they got 2. But then Luka goes down, makes the first free throw, misses the second one intentionally, gets his board back, and makes a crazy off-balance jump shot to send the game to overtime. And at that point, once the game goes to overtime, the Knicks aren't winning the game. the Mavericks are winning the game at that point. Just crazy stuff from Luka, Jacob. Have you ever seen anything like that before in your history of watching basketball? Because I haven't.
No, I haven't. I didn't even check the box score. I normally try to watch as many games as I can, as long as it's okay to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't check the box scores or anything, and I got the notification talking about overtime. I was like, I didn't see the whole stat line or anything. I wish I did. I wish I would have watched that, but no, that's probably not going to happen again. And if it might be him if it does it, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's just an insane stat line, insane game, and Luka. Unfortunately, the Mavericks are hovering around 500, so I feel like he won't be in MVP talks, which is such a shame because he's going to have the best numbers out of anybody. I think that's pretty set. He's going to average up over 30 points, most likely around 10 rebounds and assists. So he'll have the numbers, but of course the Mavericks probably won't be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference once it comes down to the end of the season, which will probably take him out of the running with guys who are at the top like Nikola Jokic and Jason Tatum and Giannis and Kevin Durant, right. Guys who are on teams who are, like I said, at the top of the conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Luka the other night. We had the Christmas Day games as well. It was kind of a lame Christmas Day, I would say. Yeah, in comparison to ones past.
Yeah.
You had the Sixers-Knicks game, which was okay.
Yeah.
The Sixers pulled away in the second half of that game. Then you had Lakers-Mavericks. The Lakers with an insanely bad third quarter, gave up 51 points.
Right.
You know the game's over after that. Celtics-Bucks was decent. It was a solid game throughout. And if you're going to get a Celtics-Bucks game, you know it's going to be a good game. That's the one I was the most excited for. So it was okay.
I was excited for the Grizzlies-Warriors game. Yeah. I figured Memphis would not blow them out, but be a pretty good win considering Steph and Andrew Wiggins weren't playing. But that surprisingly was a good game, just from a fan standpoint and the rivalry part of it, like the trash talk between both teams. It was pretty interesting. That's probably the best game I watched besides this game.
I will say that game was at least entertaining. That game was an entertaining game. Whenever you get the Grizzlies and the Warriors these days, it's going to be an entertaining game. But yeah, the Grizzlies didn't play very well. The Warriors shot the ball well. So the Warriors kind of ran away with that one too in the second half. But then Denver-Phoenix. Denver-Phoenix was the game of the day. You had the crazy Aaron Gordon dunk, probably the dunk of the year so far. I would say so for sure.
Probably will be, yeah.
Yeah, I just turned the game on whenever that had happened. It was like midnight. I didn't even know the game was still going on. I was like, oh, Phoenix and Denver are still playing? And it's close? Sure. I turned it on. Aaron Gordon's dunking on Landry Shamet. I'm like, oh, my goodness. They called it a charge at first, too. That's my immediate reaction. I was like, that's not a charge. You can't call that a charge. And luckily, they did the right thing and overturned the call. But a good win for Denver, who's been playing some really good basketball as well, as they're on top of the Western Conference right now. Jacob, have you watched much of Denver lately?
I have. I know their offense is like really good. It was second as of a single week ago. Their defense the defense improved lately. I think. Like watching them, I've watched a few games here and there. They're playing better. I think they moved up, or like in a certain stretch, they're like 17th in a certain stretch or something, which is improved from 26 where they've been at most of the year. They just look good. Jokic is, Jokic, MVP numbers, making a case for his third straight this year. So,
yeah, and then their role players. Their role players have just been so solid. Talk about Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon has been really, really good for them this year. Right. Guys like KCP, Bruce Brown have come in and been great perimeter defenders. Guys who can shoot the three ball well. We talked about them before though, and Michael Porter Jr. had a 30-point game I think last night or 2 nights ago. So. Maybe he can, get back to that form. If he gets back to that form, I think Denver's the best team in the West, and it's not really a question. At this point, at least.
I'm about to say, as of right now, are they your favorite coming out the West?
As of December 29th?
Yeah, as of now.
Yeah, I would say Denver is my favorite, although I like how the Clippers have been playing lately. I think the Clippers would be the team that would give them the best run for their money right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically a rundown of everything big that has happened. We had the whole Killian Hayes, Mo Wagner thing last night, which was, you know,
Yeah.
almost deja vu in Detroit.
I think 9 players got suspended for Orlando
Yeah,
tomorrow.
they just released the suspensions a few minutes ago. I'm surprised Killian Hayes only got 3 games.
They were saying I think the announcers were saying it should be like a year because it was the back of the head, hit him in the back of the head, or an extended amount of time.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be a year, but I thought that it might be for like
You like
2-3 weeks or maybe a month, because that was like you said, it was a vicious hit. And yeah, almost deja vu in Detroit. They were making sure that part 2 of Malice at the Palace didn't break out. But yeah, that's basically a rundown of everything that's been going on. Today's episode, I wanted to go ahead and talk about some trades. We wanted to go ahead and talk about some potential trade rumors. It's been kind of dry this year. The trade rumor mill has been kind of dry in comparison to last year. We had some big names in the rumor mill. We saw some big names be moved on trade deadline day. Me and Jacob have discussed over the past couple of days, and it doesn't look like any big names are going to be moved this year at the trade deadline, which is kind of unfortunate because it's a cool thing to get excited about. And yeah, unless something unforeseen happens, we've seen guys names like Trae Young and Zach LaVine, and
I think the biggest name we'll see trade maybe John Collins, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a team, if they keep losing and struggling, they might try to blow it up.
Yeah,
probably we might. Yeah, Chicago probably, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that.
Go ahead.
That nobody. I think we said this a couple episodes ago. Nobody is overtly tanking.
Right.
Like we saw the Orlando Magic go on like a 5-6 game winning streak. We've seen the San Antonio Spurs win some big games. We've seen Oklahoma City is like hovering around 500 with that roster. Shout out to Shea, of course.
Indiana, who we thought would be bad, they're like
Indiana is above 500, which is crazy. Shout out to Tyrese. But yeah, nobody is really overtly tanking, and I think that is a good thing for the league, especially since you have Victor coming in this year, and there's obviously a big prize to tank for. But I think that the league has done a good job of making sure that teams don't just outrightly tank. And I mean, it does happen. It happens sometimes, and we might see that happen more as the season goes on. But as of right now, everybody looks like they're trying to win every game. Honestly.
Yeah. I think we've talked about here before about Indiana moving players, but they've said I think they're more likely to extend them than they are trade them now.
Yeah, I saw that with Miles Turner the other day.
So I don't know if anybody's going to sell, like who's going to sell that hard to tank. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah. So I have this Bleacher Report article pulled up. It's a trade idea for all 30 teams. So your team will be mentioned in this article. It's by Greg Shorts at Bleacher Report. So these aren't our trade ideas, so don't come at us if you don't like them. But yeah, not really many big names as I've scrolled through it, just a few. But there's some really solid players in this list, guys who can really move the needle for the teams at the top. So we'll go ahead and get started, Jacob. You tell me just what you think about each of these, and we can spend some more time on some of these than others, as some of these won't really matter much at all. Starting with the Atlanta Hawks. So this one was interesting. The Atlanta Hawks receive Jordan Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk, and a 2025 second-round pick for John Collins. So these are some pretty solid players getting moved in this trade. You have
Clarkson and Olynyk.
Yeah, Clarkson and Olynyk would go to the Hawks. John Collins goes to the Jazz. What do you think about that one, Jacob?
I don't know if it makes a lot of sense for Utah because they have Lauri Markkanen. Does he play? I think he's at the 4.
He is.
Unless they try to run John Collins at the 4, Markkanen at the 5, but I don't see that. But for Atlanta, it helps them. Would you start Clarkson or let him come off the bench?
I would put Jordan Clarkson off the bench. I think their bench needs a scoring punch.
Yeah. So and then I think AJ Griffin still starts.
Yeah.
So then I guess that put Olynyk at the 4. Maybe Onyeka.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe Onyeka and Clarkson. I mean Capella at the 5.
I wouldn't play both. I wouldn't play both of them together. No.
So yeah, it had to be Olynyk at the 4. I think the only reason for Atlanta to do it would be to get Clarkson, but I don't see it really doesn't make sense unless Utah just tries to actually tank, after that trade, or
that I don't think that's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
This trade is okay. I don't think that it does much for the Atlanta Hawks. I think that maybe I don't know. I just don't know, especially with those other two guards that they have. Jordan Clarkson would be a good piece off their bench, but that's just kind of a meh trade for me, I guess. Let's go ahead to the next one. This one's just kind of a meh trade. The Celtics would add Mike Muscala, stretch big, and they just give away a 2023 second-round pick. So they're just adding a little bit of stretchability in this trade. I mean, a guy who can kind of, back up Al Horford, I guess, kind of plays the same role as him. Anything to say about this one, Jacob?
Not much. It just, given that, I guess we could put him in there with Al at the 5 and, stretch the floor a lot better. But they basically did that with Grant Williams out there with Al. So that's not too much of a difference,
Yeah. This one's not very important. Mike Muscala wouldn't play come playoff time. So, yeah, on to the next one. We have who else do we have? We have the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, this was an interesting one. This trade article was made a couple of weeks ago, so it's kind of old. It was made kind of before the Brooklyn Nets went on their 10-game win streak. The Brooklyn Nets are receiving Kyle Lowry and Max Strus straight up for Kyrie Irving in this trade. This one doesn't make sense anymore. I think that this was made a little bit after, the Kyrie confusion and whatnot. Jacob, what do you think about this one?
I mean, for Miami, I guess it helps Miami. Maybe. Well,
I definitely say Kyrie Irving is a step up from Kyle Lowry.
It helped them, but I guess for Brooklyn, it's kind of you still have a decent playmaker, but you just don't have that scoring threat like you do with Kyrie, unless he has his nights. But
would that mean Ben would run point for the Nets full time at that point? You think that's what that would mean?
Then would Kyle be like the 2, or like would he?
Well, I'm thinking about Kyle Lowry minutes. I don't think Kyle Lowry would play like over 32 minutes, if that.
Yeah. I guess Max Strus is just like a little filler piece, but he's decent catch and shoot.
Yeah,
he's a shoot guy.
This one doesn't make sense anymore, just because the Nets are clicking on all cylinders now.
All right.
But those are interesting names to hear in a trade together. No draft picks involved. That's a pretty slim asking price for Kyrie, just Kyle Lowry and Max Strus.
Yeah, if I was Miami, I'd probably do that, but you just got to risk Kyrie. I think he's a free agent this offseason.
That is true.
So.
That is true. So this next one, the Charlotte Hornets receive Russell Westbrook, Max Christie, and a 2023 second-round pick for Gordon Hayward and Mason Plumlee. Any words on this one?
I don't know. I guess if you want to.
Here's what I have to say.
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
What does this do anything? Like, are the Lakers? This doesn't make the Lakers better. It really doesn't. Russell Westbrook is better than Gordon Hayward. He still is. He's better than Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
I think that he's a better fit for the Lakers than Gordon Hayward, even despite his shooting struggles. But this trade doesn't accomplish anything, in my opinion.
I guess Plumlee will give you some backup time, but
yeah,
it's not the best thing.
And Russell Westbrook, being the focal point of an offense again as the starting point guard, I think that he would win too many games for Charlotte's liking. It was a team that we said nobody's really trying to overtly tank, but as a team who needs a high draft pick, who needs to go ahead and start a rebuild, I don't think Russell Westbrook really helps you do that.
I don't know if I could watch LaMelo and Russ on the court at the same time either. I don't know if I'd want to watch that.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's weird.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't like that one. I don't like that trade. Here's one. The Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls received Jay Crowder, and the Phoenix Suns would get Kobe White and Marko Simonovic in return. But you'll probably see the name Jay Crowder in a couple of more of these.
Yeah.
So
I don't see the point for Phoenix, I guess, unless they just want to get rid of Jay Crowder because they already have
well, Kobe White can provide a scoring punch off of your bench, and that's something that Phoenix needs, a consistent scoring punch off their bench.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was they already had Cameron Payne, so but it's I guess they can be on the floor same time, but
yeah, I mean Jay Crowder's not playing for you anyway.
yeah, so I get anything might be better than anybody.
Yeah, for Chicago, since this trade is designed for Chicago, I like it. I think Jay Crowder, would come in and be good for Chicago. He can, a good 3-and-D guy. He would. I think he definitely would.
So would
that probably I don't know though if Chicago would want to do that because they want to develop Patrick Williams.
Yeah. I'll say would he get pushed to the bench or would
I feel like Jay Crowder would push Patrick Williams to the bench.
I was thinking, does Caruso start? Or
he's their point guard.
Would DeMar
Ayo. Caruso or Ayo.
Yeah. I say I don't know. I would say DeMar could get pushed to the 2, Crowder at the 3, but I don't see that happening. So
well, you got to think about Zach LaVine too.
Yeah.
I do think that would push Patrick Williams to the bench, but I think that Jay Crowder's mold fits a lot of teams. It is a thing though with the Bulls. This doesn't make the Bulls, a championship contender. They're still play in range after this trade. So if you're thinking about what it accomplishes in the grand scheme of things, maybe not a lot, but it's okay. I don't mind that trade.
It'll help him get a few more wins, maybe.
Yeah, Kobe White doesn't do much on the Bulls anyway. Might as well if you want to. Cleveland Cavaliers, they received Matthew Dellavedova, and the Kings get Dylan Windler. Just a kind of a feel good. Oh, that's cute. The Cavs get Delly back. Not much to say about that one. He won't play minutes.
No.
It's just a good little homecoming for Delly. Dallas Mavericks. This is a guy who's probably going to be in here a good bit too. The Dallas Mavericks received Jakob Poeltl, and the San Antonio Spurs received Josh Green, JaVale McGee, and a 2025 second-round pick. What do you think about this one, Jacob? I'll premise it by saying that the Dallas Mavericks have been adamant lately in saying that Josh Green is not available.
Yeah.
Josh Green is not available for trade. You have Luka, who of course is going to be untouchable. And then the next guy really is Josh Green. Josh Green's 20, 21 years old, who's really shown good flashes this season. He comes off the bench. He can score, between 12 and 15 points. And you see, the flashes of him being a really good NBA player. But untouchable is kind of crazy to say. What do you think about this trade, though, for Jakob Poeltl?
I don't know if it just moves the needle any. They still probably won't get that playoff lock spot. But who's our 5? Is Maxi Kleber still a 5?
It'd be Maxi Kleber. Why can't I think? Or Dwight Powell, I guess.
So they get an upgrade, at the center.
Wood maybe off the bench.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't know if it moves the just helps many.
I like this trade in theory because Jakob Poeltl is a really good rim protector.
I was saying
he's a great finisher at the rim. He's a good lob threat. He's a great screener. So I like this trade in theory. I don't like that he doesn't space the floor. So he would have to be on the court with a specific set of guys. I don't think that he could share the floor with Luka and Josh Green at the same time. It would have to be a pairing of Tim Hardaway, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, or Reggie Bullock out there with them, or Maxi Kleber. It would have to be floor spacers who he's surrounded by because Jakob Poeltl's not going to space the floor. But he's a really, really solid big, and I think that he would fit well on a lot of teams. I think Dallas is an interesting fit, but if they want to do this, I'm not against it.
It'll help them, but I just don't think it'll get them back to the conference finals or anything. Make that strong push, but
yeah,
it'll help them.
So the next trade is for Jakob Poeltl again. It's Denver. The Denver Nuggets would trade for Jakob Poeltl, and they would give the San Antonio Spurs Christian Brown, Zeke Naji, and Jeff Green. So for this one, I think that they're insinuating that Jakob Poeltl would come off the bench.
Yeah.
Jakob Poeltl would come off of that Denver bench, solving that backup big spot that you've been so critical of since the start of the season.
I thought of too.
If Jakob Poeltl is your backup center, then
pretty good.
You're pretty good. You're pretty well set.
He might not be one of the best starters, but the jump if he went to Denver, the jump from him to the next guy down, significant. So,
oh brother, you're a hater.
Yeah, you didn't have to watch him half a season last year.
But yeah, this says that Denver is dead last in opponent shooting in the restricted arc. So Jakob Poeltl is a guy who can definitely help with that. If they can pull off this trade, I like this trade for Denver. I really, really do. I think that it might push them. I said that they're my title favorite. I think that would only strengthen that.
Like we said before, their defense is pretty bad, but getting him, especially the times. I get we know Jokic offensively, but defense not too bad, but not great. So it'll help out definitely. Yeah, I think we've talked about a different one too before about making them the next tier. I forgot what we said.
Next is the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons receive Luke Kennard, who they've had before, from the LA Clippers. And the Clippers would receive Nerlens Noel and Corey Joseph. This trade is an interesting one when I saw it the first time. I thought about it from the Clippers' perspective because from Detroit's perspective, a team who's not really trying to win a lot of games, you get Luke Kennard, a great shooter who's one of the best in the league. I don't think Luke Kennard is a guy that the Clippers would trade. I don't think that they would do it just because of how well he shoots the ball. I think that he's a huge asset for them when he's healthy. But receiving Nerlens Noel in return is not bad at all for the Clippers, who are in need of some big depth. What do you think about this one, Jacob?
Yeah, I'd say that's why I would do it, to get Noel. Because who's their backup?
It's Moussa Diabate or Robert Covington, runs the backup center.
Yeah, definitely. I'd do it from the Clippers standpoint. It's just would you just giving up that shooting, but I like it for the Clippers because Noel. I know he hasn't played a lot this year, but he's not awful. He can give you some good minutes, especially with Zubac on the bench. So I like that for LA.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think the Clippers do this trade because I think they really value Luke Kennard. But if they did, I guess I wouldn't be against it because they have other capable guys who can shoot the three, like Norman Powell, of course Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. But I think that Luke Kennard is a huge asset for them. On to the Golden State Warriors. This trade was interesting, too. The Golden State Warriors receive Wendell Carter Jr. from the Orlando Magic in return for James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga. So Wendell Carter Jr., another stretch five. I guess you can't really call James – well, I guess you can't call James Wiseman a stretch five, but not a very good one in his, young stint with the Warriors. Wendell Carter Jr., a solid defender, a guy shooting about 35% from three. Yeah. His fit, in theory, on the Warriors would be a good one.
Yeah.
You're giving away Wiseman and Kuminga, two of your young pieces, for Wendell Carter Jr. What do you think about this one, Jacob?
I'll say, would it? I'm guessing he'd come off the bench. Maybe Wendell Carter would, or maybe push Looney off the bench.
No, Wendell Carter Jr. would probably come off the bench. Looney's with the starting unit.
I don't mind Golden State giving up Wiseman just because we haven't seen the potential. Well, we know he has the potential, but we haven't seen what we've expected. When he got drafted,
right.
Especially with Golden State. So I don't see them. I think they just kind of would be hesitant to get rid of Kuminga unless they just want to drastically improve at the deadline or improve at the deadline.
Yeah.
But for Orlando's standpoint, I mean, you can take a chance on Wiseman, try to develop him. You're, trying to lose games, not actively trying to lose, but trying to lose games anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you win.
Yeah, Kuminga's another guy that you can develop, who's been playing really well lately. So I wouldn't be mad if either team did it, but
yeah, like I said, in theory, I think this is a good trade. I think that this is a good trade in theory. It's one of those trades that I don't think would materialize like we think it would.
Yeah,
but the idea of having Wendell Carter run with that Golden State unit is good to think about. Right. And then you give James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga a fresh chance with a young team to, get
Not
some more run with no pressure really on them.
Pressure.
Yeah, it would be good. I think it would be a good thing to see. And if something like that happened, sure, why not?
It's presumed as a win-win, really.
Yeah. Next is the Houston Rockets. Looking at this trade would never happen. This is a dumb trade from Greg Schwartz. Like we just talked about, the Dallas Mavericks call Josh Green untouchable. This is Josh Green and Davis Bertans for Eric Gordon from the Houston Rockets. That's not happening. It's just not. Eric Gordon can help a contending team with his shooting ability, but the Mavericks aren't giving up Josh Green for Eric Gordon. They're not doing it. Especially when they already have Reggie Bullock and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah,
no, that's not happening. It's not. The Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers are buying in this trade. They're buying in, and this is one of my favorite trades on this list. Whenever I went through, the Pacers received John Collins. The Indiana Pacers received John Collins, and the Atlanta Hawks would receive Buddy Hield and Jalen Smith. And this doesn't make the Pacers a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. I don't know. We've been so wrong about the Pacers already. But just to think about Tyrese Halliburton and John Collins, pick and roll, lob threat, John Collins, I love the idea of it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say what you're gonna say.
Yeah, it's fun. It'd be fun to watch. John Collins is still, relatively young. I think he's 27, 6 or 7. He's not too old.
Yeah.
But I think with the floor space that Miles Turner can provide, the pick and roll, like you said, it won't be top 5, but they're playing set, I think, but I don't know if they want to do that. Well, maybe the way they're playing, but
yeah. And if anything, this just makes the Pacers more fun to watch.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it in theory, and I think that this is a trade that could really materialize. From the Hawks' perspective, they get another great 3-point shooter, and Buddy Hield. They get a young guy who they can take a chance on, and Jalen Smith to come off their bench. I say sure to this trade.
Yeah, I'd say really for either team, how it's going, it won't hurt. I wouldn't think.
Yeah. So this one is interesting. This is the Clippers trade, and this has kind of been one that we've talked about before. I think that this would be like one of the best trades of the season. The Clippers received Miles Turner, who is unlikely to be traded at this point. This was made, of course, about a month or so ago. And the Pacers would receive Luke Kennard, Jason Preston, and a 2023 and 2024 second-round pick. If that's the asking price for Miles Turner, which I definitely don't think it is, every team should be knocking down the Indiana Pacers' door. They should be blowing up their line.
Yeah, if I was the Clippers and they said that, I'd go yes.
Deal in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no hesitation. I'd say yes and hang up before they could change their mind. But that, well, would he start?
Yeah,
probably
he would start.
I think they'd give him. Ooh, that'd be great. I think.
That'd be such a perfect fit. It's just so perfect.
I can't really you can't really put it into words how good it would be.
Yeah.
You just have to watch and you tell. Okay, yeah, that'd be great. That how we said with Denver up there, that'd probably put the Clippers up there as probably the favorite. Maybe right there.
That would be. It's so great to think about. It won't happen though at this point. It's past the point. Because Miles Turner is probably not going to be traded, and I feel like the Clippers missed their chance. I do feel like the Clippers missed their chance on it, which might come to cost them late in the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, in theory, this trade is great for the Clippers. On to the Lakers. And this isn't a big one for the Lakers. It's kind of set on the Lakers, not really making that big of a push. The Lakers received Garrison Matthews and Boban for Kendrick Nunn and a second-round pick. And I'm sure Lakers fans are saying, yes, take Kendrick Nunn. He's terrible. But, Garrison Matthews, Congratulations, you get to watch Boban. He gets to be the fan favorite.
Yeah, you get to watch him on the bench and just out there. Yes, I don't, I don't know. It doesn't really do anything.
I'm kind of glad that we aren't talking about crazy Laker trades for the moment. It's kind of refreshing to not have those circulating.
Yeah, it was something that came out I think like a few days ago or a week ago that they're like hesitant to make a trade now because of like past mistakes. Yeah, that'd be
self-awareness from the Lakers. How about that? Never thought I'd see the day. But next is the Memphis Grizzlies. This isn't a huge trade either. The Grizzlies have received Gary Harris from the Orlando Magic. They've received Gary Harris and give up a 2023 second-round pick and Danny Green to the Orlando Magic. I guess I don't see how Gary Harris would play much. I like the trade in theory because he's a good perimeter defender and he can shoot the three, which is something that the Grizzlies probably need coming off their bench from a guard. So in theory, I think this is a good trade. I don't know about Gary Harris though. I feel like I haven't seen Gary Harris play basketball in like 3 years.
Yeah, I think he's averaging over 10. I think I haven't really watched him a whole lot. But he'd be a great, guy off the bench. But I just don't see it really. Because
it's just one of those trades that if it happened, I would look at it and say, "Oh, that's cool." I guess.
I guess out of nowhere. I guess, but
kind of meh. Sorry for the Grizzlies fans who were kind of waiting in anticipation for their trade. This next trade for the Miami Heat it doesn't get anything done at all. The Heat received Davis Bertans from the Dallas Mavericks for Duncan Robinson. It's just trading bad contracts with each other for like the exact same thing. They both, can shoot the ball really well and don't play a lick of defense. So if you want to, trade contracts, I guess they play different positions. So maybe that's what this trade is about. But this says here, I'll read this to you. It says, if Miami is looking for a starting power forward, wants to move off Robinson's hefty contract, and doesn't want to lose a pick in the process, getting Bertans is a low-risk move. I'm not with this trade. I don't like it.
I'll stick with Jimmy I think he's at the 4, or whoever they got at the 4 right now. I'll just stick with him.
If Davis Bertans is your starting 4, and he does not fit the Miami Heat, he does not. He's not a Miami Heat guy. He's not. Next up is the Milwaukee Bucks. This trade is decent. The Milwaukee Bucks received Kenrich Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder for MarJon Beauchamp. I don't think the Bucks do this because I think that they value MarJon Beauchamp, but Kenrich Williams is a good, gritty 3-and-D guy on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who I thought should have been traded last year. Do you know much about Kenrich Williams, Jacob?
I've watched him some, not paid a lot of attention to. I've heard his name in multiple rumors, but I haven't really just kept my eye on him.
Yeah, I think he's a good player, and I think that he would be really good on the Bucks. But I don't think that they gave up Beauchamp for him, their first-round pick from this last draft.
No, yeah, I think we've watched him in person. I think he's shown flashes of being, good. So, yeah, I don't see him doing that.
Yeah. Next is the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves receive Alec Burks from the Detroit Pistons for Taurean Prince and Wendell Moore Jr. This trade is just another one of those meh trades. Alec Burks is good. Alec Burks is a good role player.
Yeah.
But for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are just kind of a meh team, it's kind of a meh trade.
Yeah, so Alec Burks had good games, recently, but
and Wendell Moore was their first-round draft pick of this last draft, so I wouldn't do this trade.
Yeah, I don't see how it helps them, any type of way.
Yeah. On to the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans received Mo Bamba from the Orlando Magic for Jackson Hayes, Garrett Temple, and a 2024 second-round pick. This one's kind of interesting. I guess Mo Bamba can stretch the floor better than Jackson Hayes can. Jackson Hayes has kind of fallen out of that Pelicans rotation.
Yeah.
Garrett Temple doesn't really play either. So if the Pelicans want to take a chance on Mo Bamba, sure, go for it. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we both, watched our fair share of Pelicans games, and I would do it, just kind of give him that backup center spot. But Jackson Hayes doesn't, like I said, don't play as much. Mo Bamba can stretch the floor some, provide, he's great. I don't say great, but he's a good rim protector. So I think I'll take a chance on it. I mean, I don't think it hurt him. Jackson Hayes. I forgot what year he's in, but I think I'd
Yeah,
do it. I'll take a chance on it.
4 at this point.
Yeah. So if he's almost out of the rotation anyway, I mean, go for it. Test it out.
Yeah. On to the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks would receive Reggie Bullock and Davis Bertans from the Dallas Mavericks for Derrick Rose and Evan Fournier. For the Knicks, I like this trade. I like this trade for the Knicks because they get 2 good three-point shooters, which is something that they could really use. And you get off Evan Fournier's big contract, his terrible contract. Derrick Rose hasn't really played much this season. IQ has really played the backup point guard minutes, and Miles McBride has kind of taken Derrick Rose's spot.
Yeah.
So if you're the Knicks, yeah. If you're Dallas, I'm not doing this trade.
Yeah, I'd go for it if I was New York because Tibbs put Derrick Rose and Fournier out the rotation anyway, so
yeah,
won't hurt me. I don't think.
Might as well. That's a solid trade for the Knicks. Not so much for the Mavericks. The OKC Thunder. The OKC Thunder received James Wiseman, and the Warriors would get Kenrich Williams in the 2023 second-round pick. I say go for it. I say go for it if this is available for OKC. I think, James Wiseman has been bad, obviously, to start this season. He's not been good, but you can still see the flashes. He's a solid offensive player. He needs help on the defensive end. And he's missed, a year and a half of basketball. So we have to take that into account too. But he's still only, 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
If you're OKC, you might as well go for it. I say go for it.
Yeah, I'd say go for it, but I guess with Chet being hurt this year, you give him an opportunity to develop, Wiseman to develop, but I think long term,
Wiseman would be a good guy to have alongside Chet, so Chet could play his true position of the 4.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll take the chance. You're like we said with I think Orlando, you're not actively tanking, but if you lose, you lose. So I test it. I test it.
I kind of like that trade. For OKC because why not? Just why not?
Just get another young guy, test out, develop.
Yeah,
it won't hurt.
Well. The Orlando Magic in this trade would receive a 2027 first-round pick and Russell Westbrook from the Lakers for Gary Harris, Terrence Ross, and Jonathan Isaac. This one is a bigger deal. This is a bigger deal. The first-round pick we've seen in any of these mock trades. So, Jacob, what are your feelings on this one? Russell Westbrook being moved to the Orlando Magic, who already have a lot of young guards.
If he got moved, I don't see him, just playing a lot. He probably will, or get bought out maybe. But I guess I'll do it, maybe, because I think he's free agent this year, right? For this offseason, didn't he?
Yeah.
I guess I'll do it because you kind of get those veterans off your team. I guess if you.
I was about to say, outside of Russell Westbrook, you'd have full youth movement at that point.
Yeah.
After ditching Gary Harris, Terrence Ross, and Jonathan Isaac, who hasn't played basketball in 3 years, it feels like.
Yeah, so I'd probably do it just from the standpoint of getting young and, I guess maybe helping you lose games. I guess for LA, it gives you more depth.
Yeah, it would solve some of their depth issues.
Take a chance on Jonathan Isaac whenever he plays again. So I wouldn't be mad at it.
This one is a weird one, and it would be interesting to see how it would play out, but yeah, I don't think it happens. All right, Jacob, your team. Philadelphia 76ers time. And this is a fairly large trade. This is a large trade. So the 76ers would receive John Collins and Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Atlanta Hawks for Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, and Shake Milton. John Collins and Bogdan Bogdanovic for Tobias Harris, Matisse, and Shake Milton. What are your thoughts? Some big contracts being swapped in between Tobias Harris and John Collins.
Yeah, I'd say about a month ago, I'd have been happy just to get rid of Tobias' contract and Bogdanovic. I guess he'd be off the bench more than likely. Would I like John Collins before though? I don't know.
Think about a front court of John Collins and Joel Embiid. Do you think that would go well together?
It
I,
helped.
I think that it would be good. I think that it would be another good pick and roll option for James
Yeah,
Harden for sure.
I would say it'd be a great lob threat if like Joel's on the bench or something, and they don't run it, and it's James Harden and John Collins pick and roll. It'd be a great, or even Tyrese Maxey. The and then Bogdanovich. I'm trying to think how that would just fit.
Bogdanovich is a good shooter. He's a
Yes,
knockdown 3-point shooter.
we need the bench help, so I like that. I guess it's just the big thing would be losing Shake Milton, who runs a lot of our backup point right now with Maxey being hurt.
Yeah.
But when he comes back, tomorrow against the Pelicans, those are probably drop. I wouldn't be mad at it, but
I'll say I like this trade.
I wouldn't
I
be mad.
actually like this trade. Maybe a little more from the Atlanta Hawks perspective because
Yeah.
I think that it solves a lot of their issues. I think that Matisse alongside Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, I think that he's a really, really solid fit.
Right.
I think that Shake Milton coming off their bench and being their backup point guard instead of Aaron Holiday, I think that that's really, really good.
Yeah, I don't think if a lot of people don't know, Shake Milton's not a bad backup.
Yeah. So from the Hawks perspective, I like it a lot. From the Sixers perspective, I still think it's good. I still do.
Yeah, honestly, I would do it. Even though Tobias, lately Tobias has been great for us. I would probably do that in a heartbeat, more than likely.
Yeah. That was a good trade. That's probably the best one so far, honestly.
Yeah.
So next is the Phoenix Suns, and the Sixers are involved in this one as well. So the Suns would receive Tobias Harris, Paul Reed, and Jaden Springer for Jay Crowder, Landry Shamet, Dario Saric, and Torrey Craig from the Phoenix Suns. So that's 4 players you're getting back right there.
As a Philly fan, I'd say yes. As a Phoenix fan, I'd probably say no. Maybe no.
I don't understand. I don't understand this fit for Phoenix.
Just talking about the Tobias to the Phoenix, or
well, actually,
it gives
the more I think about it, it does make some sense. But if you're trading away 4 players for you get Tobias Harris, but you also are getting Paul Reed and Jaden Springer.
Right.
I feel like you'd have to be receiving a little more if you're Phoenix. Like you said, from Philly's perspective, you're getting 4 solid role pieces.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that trade. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, like I said, Phoenix, they'd probably have to Philly would have to throw in Matisse more than likely, which I would still do it. But the Paul Reed, if Jaden Springer really doesn't play, Paul Reed, he don't really play, so you basically get Tobias, I guess, to start, and Cam Johnson off the bench whenever he's healthy.
Yeah.
I guess it gives them another scoring punch in the lineup, but I don't the fit
their
wise.
Starting lineup would be really, really good.
Yeah, so they give them another scoring punch. Tobias can create. He's been great on catch and shoot. So, as a depth wise, losing all like you said, 4 players.
Yeah, I don't think Phoenix can afford to do that right now.
Yeah, I don't think they could, especially Devin Booker being hurt. But.
That's an interesting trade in theory, though.
Yeah.
So next is the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers receive Isaiah Stewart and Rodney McGruder from the Detroit Pistons for Keon Johnson, Justice Winslow, and a 2024 second-round pick. As a Blazer fan, I haven't watched much of Isaiah Stewart, I could say. I just know he's a 6'8" center. And that's the only thing that kind of throws me off about this because Isaiah Stewart is a solid young defender.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's the guy for us though. Because we had a chance to draft Isaiah Stewart. And he came out of Washington. He came out of the Pacific Northwest, right out of Portland's backyard. And they passed up on him. They didn't want him. So I don't think that they would trade a solid young guard in Keon Johnson, a vital role piece, honestly, in Justice Winslow, who plays a lot of small ball 5. I don't think they'd be willing to give that up for Isaiah Stewart, who's still really young and is undersized. I don't think they do it. I don't like it that much. I don't.
I like it for y'all. Like I guess coming in, Isaiah Stewart, he isn't bad. I think y'all's backup right now is Eubanks.
Yeah.
I think Isaiah Stewart's an upgrade, but losing Keon, I don't like it from what you're losing. I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't like losing Justice Winslow in that trade.
I don't like it for what you're losing, but what you gain, it doesn't outweigh what you lose. So I wouldn't like that.
Yeah. If they did it, it's a trade that I wouldn't be like, man, why did they do this? It would just be kind of one of those things like, oh, they did that.
Yeah, see how it plays out, I guess.
Interesting. But yeah, that's really all I can say about that one. For the Sacramento Kings received Reggie Bullock and JaVale McGee for Rashawn Holmes and Trey Lyles. So this is between Sacramento and Dallas. Kings get Reggie Bullock and JaVale McGee. The Mavericks get Rashawn Holmes and Trey Lyles. I don't see why Dallas would do this.
Yeah.
I think Reggie Bullock is needed on the Dallas Mavericks.
So I think
it's just another one of those med trades to me.
I said Sacramento, I would do it, give you some shooting with Bullock, but because Holmes really doesn't play, Trey Lyles, I'm not too sure, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, if I'm the Kings, I'll say sure, but I don't think Dallas would do this.
I think Bullock's unless they get like a catch and shoot guy back or 3-and-D guy back, I don't see them, do anything like that.
Yeah. Next is the San Antonio Spurs. We only got a few left. The Spurs would receive Kobe White and Derrick Jones Jr. from the Bulls for Josh Richardson. So in this instance, the San Antonio Spurs play buyer of Kobe White Jr. I mean, not Kobe White Jr., Kobe White. So this is interesting for the Spurs, being buyers. I think this is another mid trade. I think that the Spurs win this trade, though, because I think Kobe White has some explosiveness to his game, and I think that he's capable of averaging like 15 points a game.
Yeah, I like it for the Spurs. You kind of get rid of the veteran, I guess, Richardson, or better to them.
Yeah. Kobe White's still only like 23 years old.
Yeah, he's not old.
I say sure.
I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad. They're another one of those teams we say not trying to lose, but hey, test stuff out. If you lose, who cares?
Yeah. The next trade, the Toronto Raptors, Josh Richardson is involved again. The Raptors receive Josh Richardson, and the Spurs receive Malachi Flynn, Kim Birch, DJ Wilson, and 2 second-round picks. I just don't.
All that for Josh Richardson?
Yeah. I don't think that makes the Raptors. I don't think that makes them much better at all. Yeah. And Malachi Flynn is a young guard. I think that they should continue to develop him.
Yeah.
I don't like this trade. I don't really like it.
Yeah, I assume Toronto to make trades at the deadline or before the deadline, but I don't see anything like that happening. Especially 4 players or 3 or 4 players you can try to develop for Josh. So I don't see it. I don't like it.
Utah Jazz are buyers of James Wiseman as well. Utah Jazz received James Wiseman and Ryan Rollins from the Golden State Warriors for Kelly Olynyk and a 2025 second-round pick. If I'm the Jazz, you're kind of having like a why not season. Like you're a solid team, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why you're that good. You just, like we've said on this show before, you've got a lot of decent guys. I said take the chance. I said take the chance on James Wiseman if you're Utah. You might as well if you're only giving up Kelly Olynyk in a second-round pick, because Kelly Olynyk is not a good defender either.
Yeah.
So might as well try to develop James Wiseman as a part of your young core. I say go for it.
Yeah, I'd say, like we've said, a few times now, if you lose, who cares? I'd take a chance to develop them. You're going to be rebuilding the next few years more than likely.
Yeah. Last trade on this list, and it's just kind of it's the Washington Wizards, so it won't matter that much. The Wizards received Terry Rozier. And the Charlotte Hornets receive Rui Hachimura and Will Barton. These are both teams who aren't really winning games, so I don't think that this switch, makes that much of a difference. I think that these players could be utilized on contending teams, so trading them to each other, it just doesn't make that much sense to me, honestly.
Yeah. Who's I just watched it too. Who's Washington's point guard?
It is Monte Morris, right?
I think I just watched him like a few nights ago.
I know Devon Dotson runs some point guard for him, or like Brandon Goodwin, maybe.
I guess it helped him some that spot, build to 2, but I don't think it pushed them.
Terry Rozier's a good player. He's
Yeah.
a good player.
It helped them, but I don't think it pushed them because I think they're out of the play-in right now. I think they're like 6 games under 500. That's kind of bad. So
Yeah.
I don't think it. I don't think it helped. I think they're going to be more sellers than buyers this year.
Yeah. The Wizards like Rui too. They really like Rui Hachimura.
Yeah. Yeah, they've talked about him a lot. Yeah, I don't like.
I say, man, if this trade happened, it would be like, I kind of feel bad for Terry because I feel like he could be, good on a contending team.
Yeah, it's kind of. You hate to see him on teams, rebuilding every year.
Yeah. But those are the 30 trade ideas from Bleacher Report. The trade deadline is still a little bit over a month out, so we'll have another trade-based episode like right before that happens. Like I said, I don't expect much to happen at the trade deadline this year. Last year we saw a pretty sorry. Yeah, it was a pretty good trade deadline, but I don't expect this year to bring much unless, things change before then. Jacob, do you have anything you want to say about either those trades or your expectations for the trade deadline?
I don't think it'll be as busy. Like, last year, the day of the trade deadline, it was very busy.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we saw, James Harden, Ben Simmons. I think CJ was the day of the deadline.
Porzingis.
So I don't think it'll be that busy, but I think we've said this before. It'd be more role players than starters.
Yeah.
So I'm not really just excited to see it unless, more things happen, like more drama comes up or people want out. So
Yeah.
I think it'd be another one of those boring trade deadlines.
Yeah. It hasn't been a very juicy, rumor-filled season trade-wise. We saw, of course, last year, we saw the James Harden stuff. We saw even some Kyrie Irving stuff. There just hasn't been much buzz going around this year.
Yeah. I think the most buzz is, Jay Crowder, but, it's
It's Jay Crowder, though.
So it's
yeah.
So
But yeah. That'll wrap up this episode. We'll be back next week. And Jacob, got anything to add before we close?
Nothing though, unless you want to do a homework team again.
Yeah, let's go. Let's skip a homework team.
I've noticed before you say it. I'll let you say it first. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give Brooklyn just because they're on the 10-game winning streak, and so you might as well watch them until they lose. They've got a lot of buzz. They're a lot of fun to watch. Watch Brooklyn. Brooklyn's my homework team.
I'm glad you said them as a Eastern Conference team fan, because every team we say struggles after we say it.
Yeah.
They struggle. Like it's like the curse, the homework team curse. I think we said that early in the season.
Well, yeah, I think the last one I gave was Memphis and they lost 3 games in the span of like a week.
So we have a curse going on here. So
yeah, you better watch out before I give Philly one of these days.
I'll stop the recording before you have the chance.
Yeah. But that'll wrap up this episode this week. We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Yeah.